I'd like to say hello to YouTube, and I'd like to say hello to Colleen and fellow students. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the NHL and the great sport of hockey. The greatest sport on the planet happens to be Canada's very own game, and that is the sport of hockey. Hockey is a team sport, which is played on ice where players use sticks to shoot and pass a rubber puck in order to ultimately score goals on their opponents. Teams consist of 4 lines of 3 forwards, 3 pairs of defensemen, along with 2 goalies. It is played 5 versus 5, just like basketball. The forwards are generally the goal scorers, and the defensemen are there to defend the other team from scoring goals. The goalie is there to stop the puck from going into the net. It is a very fast-paced sport, which makes it extremely fun to watch and enjoy. It constantly goes back and forth as teams try to put the puck into the opponent's net. It involves body contact, which also makes it more exciting. Players can do many things in the sport of hockey, like skating, shooting, passing, perform dekes, hit, fight, block shots, and stick handle. Hockey is played on a professional level in many countries, but the biggest league of them all is the National Hockey League, or in other words, the NHL. Before the National Hockey League, the sport was played professionally in a league known as the NHA, or the National Hockey Association. The NHA was organized in 1902, which was 15 years before the NHL was established. Even in 1911, another league was formed, which was known as the Pacific Coast Hockey Association, or the PHCA. These 2 professional leagues did not last very long, and a couple of years later, the NHL had been formed. The league was started on November 27, 1917, in Montreal, Quebec, Ontario, Canada. In the beginning, there were only 4 teams, but since then, many teams have expanded across North America, hence the 30 teams in the league now. This is a league with 30 teams, with 7 of them being Canadian, and the rest throughout the United States of America. The original 6 teams, which have been in the league for the longest, are the Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal Canadiens, Chicago Blackhawks, Boston Bruins, Detroit Red Wings, and the New York Rangers. The league used to consist of solely these 6 particular teams. They are known as the original 6. The NHL's headquarters are located in the state of New York in New York City. Here, owners of teams and other NHL staff come to debate about certain aspects having to do with the league, for example, the topic of fighting. The big prize, which is awarded to the playoff champion, is called the Stanley Cup. The trophy is named after Lord Stanley, who was a former Governor-General of Canada. This past season, it was awarded to the Chicago Blackhawks, who had ousted the Boston Bruins in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The trophy had been won by 18 teams that are still in the league and 5 teams that have formerly been a part of the league. The Montreal Canadiens have the most cups, with 24 under their belts. Players in the league come from across the world, primarily those of European descent and of course North American. Canadians make up the majority of the league, followed by Americans, Swedish, Russian, Slovakian, and Czech-born players. Canadians make up about 50%, while Americans make up about 27%, the Swedes make up 6%, and the Russians 5%. Then we have the Czechs and Slovakians, who both make up 4% apiece. All other nationalities make up roughly 3% of the National Hockey League. Canadians do, however, make up a big percentage of the league, as Canada has been known to have an excellent minor, junior, and major junior hockey program, which help players get to the level they need in order to play professionally. These listed nationalities are the main teams that compete in the Winter Olympics every 4 years. Ice hockey tournaments have been held at the Olympic Games ever since 1920. However, it wasn't until 1998 in which the National Hockey League had allowed its players to compete in these games. Originally, it was only held for amateur athletes. Since then, 4 tournaments have been held at the Winter Olympics. Czech Republic had taken home gold and had defeated Russia in the final in 1998, which was held in Nagano, Japan. 4 years later, the Canadians took home the prize by defeating the Americans on their home turf in Salt Lake City, United States of America. The next tournament was held in 2006, which saw the Swedes take home gold by defeating Finland. The most recent were held in 2010 in Vancouver, which saw the Canadians win in overtime, once again by defeating the Americans. Countries battled it out for the prize of the gold medal. Some players have said that achieving the gold medal had brought them more joy and pride than winning the Stanley Cup. It's a great tournament and is very exciting for all hockey fans to watch. It also brings out a country's pride, and winning the tournament feels like your NHL team has just won the Stanley Cup. The game of hockey adds entertainment for the fans as players regularly drop the gloves every game or partake in a fight. Obviously, for some, fighting is a huge aspect of the game, but others believe that it should not be part of the game. That argument can go both ways, and it is rightly justified. Concussions and head trauma are some of the results of fighting in the National Hockey League, and many argue that it should be taken out for this particular reason. Also, recent events have seen NHL fighters pass away, such as Wade Belak, Rick Rippon, and Derek Boogaard. The mental health of these so-called fighters also cause a great concern over the question, should fighting really be allowed in professional hockey? These players who are fighters are typically labeled as goons, and their job is to protect their teammates. Without fighting in the league, certain players would not have careers as NHL hockey players, as they are meant to be fighters. There are several reasons as to why fighting should be part of the game. The first one is fan appeal. Fans love the fights, and even casual fans love the fighting. It also has a great impact on the game itself. For example, if a team isn't playing very well, a fight can gain them some momentum and help them come back and play harder. It can also help build teams and give confidence to smaller players or more skilled players, knowing that there is someone there to really stick up for you. It is also a tradition in the game, and it also builds rivalries between teams. Obviously, it comes down to personal opinion whether fighting should be allowed or not in the NHL, and there are many reasons to justify both sides of the matter. Overall, hockey is a very entertaining and fun sport to play, and the NHL is very, very fun to watch. So are the Olympic Games. So some key information I would like to share with you are the equipment used in the game. First of all, I'm wearing pants and I'm wearing a jersey. This is how you get dressed. Firstly, you take your jock, you take your shin pads, and your socks. Then you move on to your pants, and then followed by the pants are your skates. Followed by your skates are your elbow pads and your neck guard. Followed by your elbow pads and neck guard are your chest protector. And then you throw your jersey on top. Go Leafs, go. After you put your jersey on, you take your gloves, you put on your mitts, and you put on your helmet, also known as a bucket. And then you're ready to go. Hold on. And the most important part of the game is the stick. This is an example of a hockey stick, and this is an example of the rubber puck. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you learned something today about the NHL and the sport of hockey.